Are you currently considering buying a local service business? Awesome. They're highly profitable, sustainable businesses that are Amazon proof. In this video, we're going to break down what you should consider before giving yourself a head start and buying a local service business instead of starting one yourself. I'm going to break down what you should think about and consider when going that route and with that option. And we're going to talk about this even if you have no business experience, even if it's your first time buying a business and you're just in the consideration phase. We're going to break it down so it's simple and easy to understand what direction you should go. Without further ado, let's jump right into this. Okay, first up, you got to make sure that you understand the industry. Just because a business looks attractive doesn't mean you should buy it. So I have a ton of experience running my own website company for the last 15 years, but that doesn't mean that I can buy a lawn care company and instantly know what the heck I'm doing, right? I don't understand the local demand. I don't understand the competition. I'm not familiar with the market trends or what the growth potential is. I have no idea about the regulatory, technology, or market challenges. Don't underestimate the value of industry knowledge. Picking something you know is going to give you a huge leg up, but if you're still interested in the business and you don't know, be prepared to research and learn because there's going to be a lot to unpack no matter what industry you go into if you don't have experience. All right, up next, you've got to look at the financial health of the business. So this breaks down into 4 key things. First up is revenue streams. So analyze how they actually get money and how stable those have been over time. Do they go up and down like this and they're selling it to you when it's really high? That would be a warning sign. Understand the operating expenses. Same thing, rent, utilities, payroll, supplies. Do those go up and down? Are those relatively stable? Know what you're getting into. And then what are the profit margins? So evaluate the profit margins. If you haven't, check out the video on net profit versus gross profit to understand the financial viability of the business over time. Next up, debts and liabilities. Be aware of any outstanding debts or liabilities you would be assuming. A lot of times you buy a business, you assume that big loan that they can't pay off, right? So be aware of those ahead of time. Up next, you've got to break down 3 things about regulatory and legal compliance. You got to ensure the business has all the necessary licenses and permits to operate. You got to check that it complies with the local zoning laws or something. The last thing you want is to get your business shut down after you buy it. And then review any existing contracts. So leases, vendor agreements, employee contracts, customer contracts. Make sure they don't have clauses in there where if the business changes ownership, you don't get paid or you lose that customer or contract. That's really critical. All right, up next is what we call due diligence. So just because somebody says something, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be true. So conduct a good assessment of what they said, right? The physical assets, the inventory, the intellectual property, make sure it lives up to expectation. Also do due diligence on the customer base. Are they slowly losing customers? They might say they have this many customers, but are they losing them over time or are they gaining them over time, right? You want to know which trend you're going towards. And then employee skills. Figure out, are the employees, do they have the skills? Do they have the right morale? Is that the right team you want to inherit? You got to figure all this out ahead of time before you get yourself into a mess. All right, next up, make sure that whoever's selling it to you is going to work on a transition plan with you, right? From one owner to another isn't always a smooth handover. You got to figure out if you can work with that person to do a nice, smooth transition plan and develop a plan for integrating your management style and processes into the transition plan. All right, next up, the financial arrangements. Make sure you get a professional valuation. Don't just make it up or go with what they say it's worth. Financing, make sure you explore lots of different financing options. You can do loans, investors, seller financing, personal cash. Figure out which one makes the most sense over time. And then make sure you're estimating how much return on that money you're gonna get. So, right, purchase price, operating costs, and what's the potential revenue. Next up, this is critical, what are your growth opportunities? Once you buy the business, you got to grow it to make some money because you're going to have loans to pay off or you're going to have your own money that you got to get earned back. So identify where those opportunities are for growth. So can you expand services? Can you increase marketing efforts? Can you make the business more efficient? What's that going to look like for you? And then have a clear exit strategy in place ahead of time. So know what to do if things go wrong. Are you going to sell the business? Are you going to pass it to a family member? Or do you have another option? If you don't plan for an exit, you could end up in a place you don't want to be and not have any plan for how to get out of it. That's important ahead of time. Think about it because things do go wrong. And then last, don't be afraid to seek some professional advice. So accountants, lawyers, business advisors, they do this all the time. Don't be afraid to seek their advice. They're going to think about things that you hadn't thought about before, especially if this is your first time owning a business. If you like this video, hit that subscribe and like. We're talking about all the ways to grow and operate a small business on this channel. And if you don't have a simple professional website yet for your new business, click on the link below to Mighty Sites. It's only $9 a month for a simple professional website. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll catch you in the next video teaching you more about how to grow and operate a profitable business.